Hey y'all, Amber Carnes here. Sorry for the clickbaity title or whatever, but I did actually see what happened to Amber Carnes posted as a comment on someone's post the other day, and I was like, it's been a while since I checked in with ye old internet. So here I am. I actually have had people say some really hilarious things to me about like what I've been doing in my time away from the internet. So here I am to tell you what I've been up to. Before I do that, I feel like I need to go back a few steps. So if you're tuning into this video because you met me after, and you met me after like 2021, I should probably introduce myself because I haven't really posted on the internet about my work or what I sort of like do in the world since then. So I'm Amber Carnes. I'm the creator of Body Positive Yoga. Body Positive Yoga started out as a blog and a YouTube channel back in 2010 when I started creating resources that I really wanted to see out there as both plus size yoga practitioner, somebody that was practicing yoga in a bigger body, and also a newly minted teacher. So I was blogging and YouTubing for a while. My original career was in marketing, actually. So I went to school for graphic design at Old Dominion University, and I have worked everywhere from corporate jobs, Fortune 500, startups, nonprofits. I've freelanced on my own for many years, and I've worked with a lot of different types of clients, like bloggers, entrepreneurs. I've done marketing projects for them, event planning, design, production, and I also grew up in the hardcore punk music scene, booking bands, building community there. I did artwork for a record label, lots of art and merch for bands and stuff like that. So anyway, towards the end of that marketing career, I had the coolest job. I was working at a startup in the food and grocery industry in Charlottesville, Virginia, and directing a creative team of 7 people, including a photographer and a designer and writers. And then a merger happened and it got really ugly at the end. So in 2017, I quit my job. I quit all my full-time work to work on Body Positive Yoga full-time. It was a big risk, but also by that time I had been working on it as a side hustle since 2015 officially. In 2015, I did 2 things to sort of really launch Body Positive Yoga. I co-created the Yoga for All online teacher training with Diane Bondi, which was basically our answer to all the 200-hour teacher trainings that were out there, basically leaving out a huge segment of the population, right? We wanted to fill in the gaps and teach other teachers how to work with folks in larger bodies and teach them yoga, how to work to make their classes more accessible, and also things like making sure your marketing works, how to use your authentic voice, and a lot more. Diane and I, I'm really proud of what we created. We've put a couple thousand teachers through that at this point and created a really amazing community with a big ripple effect, throughout the world, actually. And in 2015, the other thing that I did is I started running retreats. I threw my first Body Positive Yoga summer camp, and it was a combination of yoga adventure retreat. This has become it became one of my very favorite ways to work ever. And we went places like the mountains in Virginia, California, the jungles and cenotes of Mexico, and we were exploring the topic of body image and self-acceptance through the practice of yoga. Honestly, it was the coolest thing. And so Body Positive Yoga, this work that I created, is at the intersection of yoga, body image, and self-acceptance. And by 2019, I was traveling and teaching full-time. Literally, I'd be gone Thursday to Monday, almost every week. And some weeks I'd be gone, 7, 8, 9 days if I was leading a retreat or doing a training. It was a wild ride. My life was chaotic, but it was cool. I had found my groove. I was leading my own workshops about making peace with your body. I was teaching the accessible yoga teacher trainings for Jivana Heyman, and those weekends were special in their own way. I had my online programs with Diane, and I also had my own membership site where people could practice with me online. And in 2019, I also ran my first yoga teacher training program. It was a 200-hour program where I was going to certify people to become yoga teachers, new yoga teachers, and really change the way that, from the way that I was taught in my 200-hour teacher training, where accessibility isn't just an afterthought, but it's baked into the way that we teach. I had 16 people traveling from all over the US to come to this training. which was in Richmond, Virginia. The way that I designed it, we had 7 days on the beginning and 7 days on the end together, and then 3 weekends in between. So it was going to start in October 2019 and wrap up in March 2020. Foreshadowing, if you remember what happened in March 2020. Okay, so in late 2019, I was booked 18 months out for weekends. I can only be in one place at one time. And like those workshops were selling. 2020 was looking good. Like I was ready to just like coast into my success from all the workshops that I had booked and everything, and basically like get to show up to teach at these like sold out shows. But y'all already know what's coming. So I taught my last in-person workshop on March 6th through 8th, 2020 in Chicago. I taught the Making Peace with Your Body workshops. It was an awesome weekend. Remember, this was like when COVID was still kind of a rumor. It was like, oh, I saw someone in a mask on the plane. Or like, haha, should we hug? Like, it was like that. And I came back. I came home that Monday and started making plans for the following weekend, which was the final module of that yoga teacher training in Richmond. So we had our like 8 days together. I had big plans for that, y'all. And then it was absolutely clear that we were not supposed to do this, right? It was like cancel all non-essential travel. It was real deadly serious. And so I had to cancel it. And I remember being on the phone with Jeevana Heyman from Accessible Yoga like at midnight the night before I was ready to cancel it. Like, I can't believe, like, it was unfathomable for me to cancel it. The amount of work and travel coordination and money that it cost people like who were traveling to my training, like trying to find alternate dates where we all could get back together. Like if you've never canceled an in-person event, it is a big deal. It's really awful to do. And you lose a lot of money. It's like this whole thing, right? But I did it, and so many of my students like expressed relief right away, and then immediately it became clear that that was the right thing to do. COVID changed literally everything about my work. I canceled everything, literally like the whole year's worth of programming. It's so simple to say that now, but like I was devastated. Like I had built this thing, this really successful business that was running, that I got to like run events and build community and help people like realize their own power and all this cool stuff. And then I just had to stop, and it wasn't my mess up. You know what I mean? I was canceling like all these events, and y'all don't even understand the amount of logistics it takes to run a business like that, where you're running in-person events every single week. I was losing thousands of dollars in deposits. I had to refund everyone's tickets from 3 sold out retreats, like watching my bank account drain, like, and COVID stuff is happening all around us. I obviously had to change it up because it looked like we weren't going back to in-person events anytime soon. So I still had the Yoga for All course with Diane Bondi since 2015, which was like a really essential part of my teaching and my also like my business. And so as soon as I was forced to stop traveling, I knew I wanted to do more online teaching. If I wasn't traveling, like that made sense. And so I was already working with Jeevana Heyman, running the Accessible Yoga teacher trainings as part of his faculty. And we had already worked together to put some of his content online. And so in conversation, we were just like, why don't we put the whole training online and just like see how people do with it? People did great with it. It was a big success. The Accessible Yoga community responded really well to online training. And out of that, the Accessible Yoga School was born. Jeevana and I co-founded that together and worked on it together for about the next year. And I think it really did meet its goals and continues to meet its goals. It's still going on. I'm just not involved anymore. We set it up to be a teaching platform to basically share the mic with other teachers who are really doing cutting edge work at the intersection of yoga and social justice, but who maybe don't get, past the mic as often as like Jeevana and I would. And so we had these really cool courses going on, all online. A really vibrant staff came together to help run that. And at one point, the project was like running really well, but eventually like enrollments dropped a little as people started to kind of like go back to normal and go outside, and the COVID shutdowns were over or whatever. I really wasn't teaching at this point. The structure of the school was set up. The machine was humming. It was time for me to go. So I decided to just bow out of the project and get Jeevana to continue to run it with the help of the staff. And that's been amazing, and they are still going. They've got some great courses. If you're a yoga teacher, you need to check them out. The Accessible Yoga School. I'm really proud of that project, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. Unless you know me personally, like, by which I mean we talk on the phone or see each other face to face, like you and I interact through social media. So I sort of did ghost social media. Like, I used to use social media primarily as like a professional outlet. Like, I would post some personal stuff, you know, like selfies or like me at a concert or whatever, but like mostly I used it to share my work and to teach, you know, through like little mini essays and videos and stuff. After COVID, and I kind of stopped developing Body Positive Yoga's work and working to support other people's projects, I was just posting less and less. I also had a lot going on in my life, more on that in a minute, and like my mental health started to suffer, and I just wanted to write less and less. It's interesting because like I was like this person on the internet is like a big part of my job, right? I was on Facebook and YouTube and creating content on blogs, and I had a podcast, and one year I made like 400 videos, and like I had a membership site. I was on the cover of the yoga magazine. Like, I was like a person in the yoga world, but life is weird, right? Because like at the same time, I guess I was experiencing like the peak of my success so far is also like right as COVID is happening. So like on the one hand, you know, like when the Yoga Journal cover came out and stuff like that, I was being recognized for this type of work that I used to do that I was no longer doing, and it was excruciating to me because I was still like canceling things, rebooking things, but I was being recognized as for like the body positive yoga person. But I like felt like I could not do my job. You know, I was thrilled to be able to contribute to these other projects, but as far as the business that I had created for myself, I couldn't do that anymore in the same way. And then by the time I could rebook things again, shutdowns were periodic, and I was like working over here. And so here we come to answer number one about what happened to Amber Carnes. Some hard stuff was happening in my life. I was dealing with a lot, even as the school was taking off. You know, COVID changed everything about my life. Everything. It changed the direction of my work. It meant I stopped traveling and teaching full time and switched to developing the school. COVID also really changed the way that I was living my day-to-day life, right? Before I was traveling, remember 2019, 5 months out of the year, like gone almost every weekend, only home some, to being home every single day full time. And when COVID first started happening, and so many people we knew were dying, so many people's family members were dying, like my husband was high risk. I really did feel this moral obligation not to spread this virus until a vaccine or something better is available. Like, my world shrank dramatically. I didn't see a lot of family or friends in person. When we did, we would see each other briefly outdoors. Like, imagine, I don't know, like it was hard on me to go from like being surrounded by people all the time while I was traveling, while I was teaching, like, you know, running these and facilitating these things, to not doing any of that and seeing like less than 3 people for like over a year. It was hard. You know, it took a toll on my mental health. If you follow my social media closely, you probably saw an announcement a while ago that I'm going through a divorce. Jimmy and I decided to split up, and that's definitely not what this video is about, but it has changed a lot for me. You know, we were in a relationship for like 20 years. That's like my entire adult life. And when you are, you know, kind of wrap yourself around another person and then that other person is suddenly not there, you know, is painful. I had 2 serious injuries happen in 2021, one to my knee, and the second was a bike crash that tore my rotator cuff, a muscle in my rotator cuff, and my bicep tendon clean off the bone. And I spent almost the whole year navigating that injury, you know, having surgery, temporary disability, like being in a sling like this for 24 hours a day for 2 months, like not being able to sleep, not being able to lay down flat. Like, there was a lot of that, plus the, you know, the mental health challenges from dealing with like identity shifts as well as this daily persistent pain. Really painful to feel like body positive yoga was sort of like withering and dying over there because I didn't have any energy to give to my students or to create in the same way. Like, my work was changing in a way that I really didn't understand. I needed to make money, so, you know, I was working on projects that I cared about, but I really wasn't able to do this other thing that I had created, you know? And my mental health was suffering. So like creating content was like not something that I had it in me to do. Even after the vaccines came to be and it was sort of like accepted that we could go back to events or whatever, I felt blocked to book events because like the government's approach was like, let the states figure it out. And the states are like, let the cities figure it out. And then it's like, let the businesses figure. And I'm not an infectious disease expert. And my clientele, the people that come to my workshops, are often people with marginalized identities or people who have disabilities or illnesses. And putting high-risk people into an environment where they literally could catch something that means their death or disability, like, I just couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with picking back up body positive yoga because I couldn't envision what it would be or what it would look like if I wasn't online teaching, because I really wasn't wanting to do that. I wanted to be in person with people. I wanted to be in the room. I couldn't really envision what it was if like it wasn't that, and it wasn't going to be events for a while. My identity felt like it was changing around my work. You know, all this stuff was going on around us, from everything that happened in politics, like the insurrection, George Floyd, over 1 million Americans dying from COVID. Like, we transformed our lives and then we just went back over here and like pretended none of that happened. Like, my marriage was ending, my work was in this like terrible tangle that I couldn't like figure. I just had to set it down and regroup, you know? I'm not really making this video to like explain or justify myself, but I do want to like give y'all an update, and at the same time, I guess, do what I always do. I want to make a comment about the role that social media plays in like what we expect of people, or what we use that social media like assume something about their lives, right? It is kind of excruciating, you know, to like compare, let's just say, my normal, everyday, messy life, where like maybe some days I'm struggling to even do basic tasks, with like people that I'm looking at their content online and they have a lighting budget and a staff and they're only posting the best of highlights. Like, nobody's showing the dirty dishes that have been sitting in the sink for a week. You know what I'm saying? I made this career out of like using my own life to teach things, right? I was in a bigger body, so I learned how to do some yoga stuff, and then like I use that as a teaching tool. I've used my own relationship to my body and learning to accept my body to kind of call out to like-minded people and say like, hey, come try this stuff that I've tried. Like, does this work for you too? Like, that became those retreats, you know? But then my life like became this thing that I really didn't want to share. You know, there was like all that pain, and you know, got to such a place in my mental health that it felt impossible to create and reinvent this thing that I had built. And it also felt really, for me, out of integrity to like sit in the seat of the teacher at that time, you know? So, answer number 2, what happened to Amber, is I'm on sabbatical from teaching. I recently had a friend who knows me really well say, like, Amber, you could be rich if you wanted to, but there's like certain things you're not willing to do for money because you're like this idealist. And I think that's true. You know, I think what he meant by that was that like, I'm not going to sell you bullshit. I'm not going to tell you to do things that I don't do myself or that I don't think would be good. And I'm not going to give you advice that you don't ask for. You know, like, I'm kind of that person. And so when I am someone who is teaching about things like mental health and self-care and stuff like that, and then I look up and in my own life I've neglected these things, it is really time to recalibrate, you know? It's easy to make money making everything look perfect online when your life off screen is actually in chaos, you know? But like, I don't want to be that person. I'm not that person. And so I've taken a step back from teaching, and more than that, from like being a person on the internet. And I'm really in this space of learning, and I'm going through some stuff, but I feel like I'm going to be able to help people even better on the other side of this. I'm definitely still a yoga teacher. I'm not quitting teaching yoga forever. I've paved the way for a lot of my students to do a much better job than I ever could. And you know, I am and I will always be a yoga teacher, even if I'm currently not teaching classes that you consider to be yoga or whatever. That's still me. Answer number 3 to like what happened is I changed the way that I'm using social media. I just didn't really make an announcement about it. So here I am announcing that I'm tired of creating content. I know that's like a joke, right? Because here I am creating content. But what I'm trying to say is like, I feel like I'm done creating content and I just want to go back to using social media in a different way. I just want to like document some cool projects in my life. I want to go back to what was fun about the internet. I used to have all these blogs and stuff, and you know, LiveJournal and MySpace, and like it was notes on my life and projects and like look at this and wonder, and less about creating content that the algorithm is going to like, and also you have to be interesting and care about how many likes you have, and there becomes this thing where like social media becomes this parasite embedded into your head, like while I'm doing an activity, I'm like, how will I show this in a creative way on Instagram? Like, how will I turn this event into a mini lesson to post? Like, I just have to stop. It's really hard sometimes for me to be present to what I'm doing because I'm like thinking about the internet. And I don't know if that's happened to anyone else. Maybe it's just my brain that does that, but I'm taking control. I think taking a step back from all this stuff, kind of being forced to take a step back, like when I had my injury and when all the stuff was going on with COVID and everything, like it really made me realize what didn't work for me about that, about social media, about being a person on the internet. And, you know, really, I've been honestly evaluating like, how do I want to build community? How do I want to make money? The answer is like, yes, I want to exist here on the internet some way, but you know, right now is like a time of reckoning in my life. It's a time of questioning every identity I have ever held, you know, like that is big change. Living on my own for the first time in more than a decade, big change. Stepping back from all my work that I've done with body positive yoga, like that was a big change. What am I up to these days? Summer of 2020, I started riding bikes again. And, you know, I rode bikes as a kid. I rode in college. I was like a bike commuter, but I never rode with a group until late 2020. It became something that I could do to still be social while COVID was going on because it was outside. It was something that I could like socially distance from people and still be able to be in community. And once I rode with a group for the first time, I was hooked. Like it was so fun. It's something about a ride out or a group ride that for me, it like checks all the boxes of like, I get to see awesome things in my city and nature. I get to be outside. There's the flow state aspect of riding, especially riding in traffic or riding in the city. Like something about that just like clickety click in my brain. It like feels so good. And it's like every ride is some kind of adventure, even though you're like in a predictable place. Like, I don't know, my life is full of these little like ephemeral experiences that I like to create. Like that's a lot of what my work is, of like, let's all come together and do this thing. And then poof, it's gone. It's like, oh, you had to be there. And so like bike life has kind of become like that for me. So in 2021, I went on lots of group rides and ended up meeting the wheelie kids, as a lot of people call them here, the youth, those who wheelie. Wow, they are amazing. They do the coolest stunts on the bike. I have so much respect for them as riders, as athletes. And I learned to ride with them. I started making videos on my iPhone. If you haven't seen my Instagram, you should really go look. I've gotten closer with a lot of the youth over the last summer and fall. And then this fall, I sort of accidentally started a sticker business. So I bought this Cricut machine, you know, it's like this vinyl cutter. They sell them to like scrapbooking moms. And my sister was making really cool shirts. She made me this one. And I was like, how did you do that without screen printing? So she told me about this machine. I got the machine. Just by accident, someone else had given me a lot of vinyl. They were like, you're an artsy person. Oh, here it is, right back here, these big rolls of vinyl. They're like, you're an artsy person. You want to do something with this? I was like, sure. So my sister helped me figure out how to cut stickers out of them. So I wanted to put stickers on a bike that I had. So I put the stickers on the bike and posted it to Instagram. And then literally the next day, one of the guys that I ride with was over wanting to make stickers. And when he posted the stickers that we did together, it was like the word was out. It was wild. I had so many people from September through the end of the winter. I probably did 80 bikes for youth in Baltimore City. I've also done a lot of sticker kits for people out of town as things started to kind of like pick up and Instagram got word of what I was doing. And so I've really had this like new friendship and interaction with the youth of Baltimore Bike Life. It is wild. Like I never thought I would be hanging out with a bunch of teenage boys again. And I never wanted to have kids. So it's been interesting having, youth in my life. But I really love being in a community with them. They have taught me so much about the city, about riding bikes, about riding in traffic, how to take clips on your phone, like all these shortcuts on my phone that I've learned from just being around them and watching them edit their videos. And I'm getting really good at taking videos while I ride and getting close to them as they do the tricks and stuff. So I'm making sticker kits and I'm going to ride outs out of town and people are requesting them and I'm bringing them to the ride outs and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a project like worth seeing through. So I'm trying to figure out what to call it, and I don't know, I tried a bunch of names out and none of it was really hitting. And every day somebody would be over in the afternoon and they would be like, get a FaceTime call from their friend. Hey, where you at? I'm at Amber House. And like, where are we meeting? Let's meet at Amber House. Where you going? I'm going to Amber House. Like they say it just like that. And it's stuck in my head. So Amber House is what we're calling it. They really made this project into existence, the Youth of Baltimore Bike Life. They've really inspired me. And so I'm lending my skills to this community for a second. I'm trying to follow joy in my own life after a lot going on. And so I'm making sticker kits for bikes and soon a merch line. I'll have my own line for Amber House with some designs that I think the bike life community is going to like. And I'm also going to be collaborating with riders. I'm collaborating with this rider named Miz. He is 14 years old and he is a beast on the bike. Like fearless, really smart. He's already sponsored by Mafia Bikes and he is just an amazing stunt performer and also I think really focused, especially at such a young age. And I really want to lend my skills. So he's ready to do a merch drop. He designed all this merch. I just kind of pushed the buttons. So April 8th, we're going to be releasing some shirts and some stickers and stuff like that. I'm going to be collaborating with other riders too. So I feel like I'm in this time that I'm trying to prioritize learning to take care of myself, building new routines after 20 years of doing kind of one thing. And now I have to really reinvent that, learning how to live on my own. And prioritizing learning and healing and reflection rather than this sort of like forward momentum of creation and selling and promotion. I'm going to be working in more of a support staff role, helping people to bring their thing to life, whether that's an online course or a big event or, trying to untangle something about your business and help it run a little bit more efficiently, to maybe just your website needs a big overhaul. So I'm going to be working with people one-on-one to help bring their projects into fruition. I used to call myself a project midwife from about 2010 to 2015, and I'm going back to that name and that role. And so I'm going to let y'all know soon about how you can plug in with that as I'm wrapping up some other projects. And body positive yoga is going to evolve. It's going to continue to evolve. The lineage of body positive yoga isn't going anywhere. Yoga for All online training is going to be turning into a course called Movement for All, and Diane is going to continue on with that on her own. It's going to involve yoga and Pilates and other things, and she's going to continue to change the world. I still have the Body Positive Yoga membership site, and I have some students and some colleagues that are going to breathe some new life into that. The Accessible Yoga School, Accessible Yoga Teacher Training, and the Accessible Yoga Association are all still going strong. Like, this lineage is awesome. And now I'm going to be in this like supporting, mentoring, consulting role within this industry. So I think that's cool. And eventually I will want to throw events again. I'm not sure what those are going to look like. I will build community and invite people to join it. I don't know what that's going to look like. Anyway, this video is way too long. If you're still here, why are you so obsessed with me? No, I'm kidding. I love you. And I hope that you'll stick around. I plan on popping up on YouTube more often now. So watch this space. Thanks for tuning in.